If it bleeds, it reads. Interest rates. What do you reckon?
Well, welcome everybody. G'day, Mark. Haven't seen you for a while.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah.
for having me on.
Yeah,
I
John.
suppose probably one of the first places to start is some people might not be up with the news. So just to recap, a 0.5% or 0.5% rate rise today. It's the first time since the year 2000 that the Reserve Bank has made such a big jump. I think if you were to watch the media closely over the last week or so, they're sort of prepping us for this in a way. They were talking about increasing inflation and predictions being out, and one new government blaming another old government for all their woes and all that sort of stuff. So you could see the game unfolding that today was going to be a big one, and it was going to hit some people hard. But I just wonder, and I thought it'd be a great idea to have a chat with you about it, because we do come from different backgrounds.
Yep.
You're definitely in the real estate space, and I'm more in the media and communication space. And I think if we were to be honest with each other, the one thing we agree on is that we're being sort of used in a game a bit. This is becoming a bit of a game, interest rate rises and inflation and uncertainty. And there is a bit of a tit for tat going on. And I thought that it'd be good for me and you maybe to have an open discussion and see whether the hype is real. And sometimes you don't have to believe the hype.
Perception is the art of war.
Okay.
And the media game's creating a lot of perception out there, I reckon. It's down, it's left, it's right. And I know I was joking with you off air before, saying if it bleeds, it reads. That if it's not a sensational, huge, big thing, no one really wants to know about it. And it seems like it's the biggest thing to talk about at the moment in the last couple of months.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, they call it the hip pocket nerve. That's what political parties always talk about, the hip pocket nerve. And then if you can tickle the nerve in the pocket, which has got to do with money, then you're always going to get a reaction. And so, this government's just trying to get the bad news out of the way as early as they can. There's probably things in there that aren't their fault. They've adopted it. That's the reality we're in. So we won't play the political angle too much. But let's try and put this in perspective. Interest rates are back at 0.85%, which means the average mortgage is probably going to go to what, Mark, about 3% to 3.25%?
Yeah.
Yeah, so about that. It sits a little bit higher.
I think it was 500K was...
I've got that figure for you if you want, on an average mortgage.
A couple $100, I think it was.
Yeah, so on a 700K mortgage, if your interest rate's going to go after today's announcement from 2.8%, which was a pretty competitive rate in the variable market. So if you'd done your homework during COVID and sharpened up your mortgage, given it a bit of a check over, you probably would have been sitting somewhere around the 2.8%. That today goes to 3.2%, and on 700K, if you owe 700K, you're looking at about $181 a month. Now, there are some people in the world who are lucky enough to sit there and say, oh, well, $180 a month, not too bad. I can find that somewhere. I can rein in some discretionary spending. I won't buy as many pairs of Air Max 90 sneakers, and I'll save that $180, and you're away.
One Air Max 90 a month.
One pair of Air Max 90s a month. Now, there'll be other people, and these are the people I think we need to recognise, is that there'll be other people who are struggling, who on the back of COVID have been devastated, are just starting to get back on their feet, and now they're getting hit again. Especially if you think about small retailers and, if they own their premises on a mortgage, and, people aren't returning to the city like in Melbourne, they certainly aren't. So, this might be just a bit too much for them. And so I think we need to recognise them when we talk about it. But I think what we've got to do is put it in perspective that really we're just returning to pre-pandemic numbers here.
They were a recovery. It was recovery money, I think, in a different way. So rather than governments coming along and saying there's 2,000 or 4,000 or 1,000. I think they helped people with their interest rates are. So it was really recovery money. That interest rate where we were sitting before was like a recovery rate. I don't think it was a fair. I don't think it was. If you look out the last 50 years, it's been abnormally low. Like for the Reserve Bank to be nearly sitting at zero, you know what I mean? Like I don't think we could have based our business on that expectation anyway.
No, I remember somewhere around the 2000s when we were sitting at about 8%. Japan was at zero.
Yeah.
And that was staggering. And it was like, man, that's actually not good. It's actually not good for for your economy to be sitting at 0% interest rate, or they're even paying you to borrow money, to keep the banks going. So it was a weird scenario. So I think, yes, no one wants interest rates to go up, but when you've been through a cycle where in Australia where property prices are actually outperforming the increasing cost of money, and that's what we're looking at here.
Yep.
We're talking about a 0.1% rise in rates, but your property, if you own a property or if you're into a mortgage on a property, the value of that property is most likely still going to be going up more than 0.5% in value.
Yeah, and I think we've got to rebuild the economy and rebuild the country, and I don't think that's going to be done by pulling out more than taking out more than you're putting in. Do you know what I mean? I think we have taken out a lot of the economy. The property market, with the capital growth that we've had, we've equally taken out a lot. So we've individually grown our wealth as property owners. It may be by 100,000 or it may be by 300,000. I don't know what it may be by, but that's a good thing. So it's payback time. It's gentle. It's manageable for most. It's scary. I think the reality we always remember pain a lot than we do gain. The pain is so much resonates so much more in the now, and you don't remember the pleasure that we had. So yeah, it's at the moment it's a bit. I think it's traumatic for a lot of people at the moment. When you get that sort of news, I have never looked at an interest rate increase. Today, I was on the RBA website at 2:30. Don't know why.
Don't know why.
I think
it's the hype. I think it's the hype. It's the hype.
Yeah.
I mean, the media, and they need to take some responsibility here. I mean, they talk about, I was just on, when I look at websites like, say, news.com.au or heraldsun.com, I don't just look at the individual articles. I look at the whole overlay of the piece. And what's really interesting today is that they've gone jumbo, incredible, unbelievable, devastating rise. And then they've got this funny article in there of, how much is it going to cost? And then it's got, what will this mean for your mental health, or how to recover mentally? And it's like, well, you're actually causing the stress.
Yep.
You're actually contributing the stress, and then here you are way at the bottom offering a token solution to it. And I think you said it right at the start. Right? That's right. And you said it at the start. It's about, they've gone beyond just reporting the facts, and they're moving it into dramas. They're moving it into clicks. They're moving it into actually playing the social media game of grabbing attention, getting people really emotionally charged, either negatively or positively. It doesn't matter. Emotional charge will grab people's attention. Grabbed yours today. And then, it adds this stress. But in reality, there will be people. Look, I don't want to move over these people too easily, but there will be people who are over leveraged. We saw it in the GFC where people were going and buying houses. I had firsthand experience of it, not myself, but dealing with people who'd done this. Buying houses in the growth belts. Say the house was worth 500 grand. They'd take a mortgage of $440,000 for a $500,000 house, and then they put a Holden Senator or an HSV special vehicle on top of the mortgage, and all of a sudden the house price and the mortgage was balanced, and then the GFC hit, and all of a sudden the house is only worth 400 grand, and they owe 500.
But Jonathan, that's a good thing. It's like the speed limit. There is, and unfortunately, this is a horrible example to give, but you can set the speed limit on a main road for 5 kilometers an hour, and there will be no fatalities. But there's an efficiency to business, and the same with arrears, and the same with people putting themselves into the poo. There's a number, and that's a number we never want to strive for that number to be zero, because then you've got a greater problem. So when you're sitting at 5 kilometers an hour, and that's the maximum you can travel on your roads, there's no fatalities, but no one's getting anywhere. So I think with these interest rates as well, there's going to be some carnage, and we have a duty as a community to make sure we look out for each other that way. But that's the way it is.
I also think we've got to look at the positive side of it too. If we're going to be sitting here on a live stream where the heading is "Don't believe the hype," I think we also have to look at the total picture and say, well, is there they're blaming energy prices for this inflation. That's what they're fighting inflation here. That's what they're trying to do. And energy prices are going through the roof. Now we can sit here and argue that, energy policies and energy prices are going through the roof because there's been a sway of public opinion about going green and not using fossil fuels. And that's fair. That's fair enough. That's got all the merits in the world, that argument. But what you've got to say is, did we get the timing right? Because now in Victoria, we're looking at a gas shortage and gas prices are tripling as a result. Yet we've got the biggest gas fields in the world just off the south of our coast. Natural gas just sits in Bass Strait and we're leaving it there. So prices are going up. Then it's starting to hit the common people. So you've got to look at the impact of everyone wants to do right by the world. But, as you said, you can't just sit everything at 5 kilometers an hour on a highway, because people are going to get hurt by not being able to move fast enough.
Yep.
The second bit that we've got to look at, which I think that hurts, the inflation hurts. I just went and bought cat food that normally is about $70 a bag. I go into the pet shop, a big chain, pet shop chain. There's only 2 bags of the cat food on the shelf. So my daughter and I go, wow, we better get both, just in case we run short. So, we buy both. We go to the counter. The guy goes, $280. I went, $280 for 2 bags of cat food. I'm like, I might as well just take them to the Chinese restaurant up the road. They'll eat better there.
Yeah.
Just get food cooked. I think the other thing we're going to look at, the positive thing, is that employment rates are so low.
Yep.
There are jobs out there for people.
Very good. We're come out of COVID. Like, Jonathan, the COVID numbers yesterday, and this is a perfect example, the COVID numbers yesterday were the lowest they've been this year for New South Wales. So, you sort of, all you think about is the numbers when they're up, but there's the kick up the arse there, but there's no pat on the back when the numbers are low. So again, it comes back to what bleeds is what reads, is what reads is what bleeds, I should say. But how is this going to affect property? How are these rate rises? It's gone up 0.5%. How is that going to affect you and I in our homes? Are our homes going to be worth less? Are our homes going to be worth more because there's not as much building happening in the economy if it's harder to build because it's expensive and rates are expensive? I don't know.
Well, I think you got to think of your properties. You got to think of your properties like stocks. So what's your scenario? So you're sitting in your house with a mortgage, right?
Yep.
Are you looking to sell it soon? Are you in the position where you need to sell it in the near future because you need to downsize or you need to upsize?
Is it essential?
Is it essential? If it's not essential for you to be buying or selling at the moment, you don't really need to worry about these rate rises. You just have to be aware of the fact that, I'm going to have $180 a month less. Then you can just remove all the stress from your life. Don't fall, as Luke says here, there'll be initial panic, cause fear for the worst and crazy humans. Don't get into that, right? If you're not planning to do anything with your house for the next 12 to 24 months, don't worry about it. The market goes in cycles. It's going to come back. And the second thing I'd be thinking is if
you've made a fortune in the last year or two in capital growth. I know you can't bank it, but you have banked it.
Mate, people, It is amazing that they don't. You're sure they don't see the positives. You
Yeah.
buy a house for $500,000 in 2007 before the GFC. The GFC hits in 2009. That house for $500,000 probably drops to 440, 450.
Yep.
Right in the GFC. But if you're not in the position where you have to buy and sell, what is it? 14 years later in 2022, that
I like
house
that.
is now worth $1.8 million.
I like that
Are you
example.
even thinking about that 60 grand that you pretended to lose or didn't even feel the
No,
loss
but
of? Like, because you never
no,
cashed in, right?
no, but you're still worrying about the interest rate rise on your 400 grand or 300 grand. It's just natural. It's
Mm,
just natural.
yeah.
You
But
do. You're in that moment.
I think there's a difference between being aware and inciting panic.
Yep.
The market bounces back. You've been in real estate for a long time. You've seen a lot of stuff. You've seen a lot of cycles. You've certainly seen higher interest rates than 0.85%.
Yeah. Almost 30 years of real estate now.
And I think, the banks are even better at testing people on whether they have the ability to service a mortgage. So if
Yep.
you've got a mortgage from a big bank in the last, when was the inquiry into the banks? 4 or 5 years?
Yep.
They're probably assessing your ability to pay that mortgage at an interest rate at 6 to 8%.
Good point. Very good point. If the banks are smart enough to give you the loan, you're smart enough to pay the loan.
They are backing you. They are
Yep.
giving you the confidence to say, you know what, I can deal with this. So once again, don't believe the hype. No
Well
need
said.
to panic. The
Well
bank
said.
has already looked at your finances. A third
Yep.
party has looked at your finances and said, I reckon you're good.
I love
Good
that.
enough for us to bank on.
I love that because I think sometimes people at the moment, it's not even about cash, it's about confidence, it's about sentiment. And I think the things you're talking about are confidence and sentiment that people should have within themselves in when they see something like this in the paper. You can twist it up or you can twist it down depending on your sentiment that you want to live by.
Yeah, I think it's just the hype in the media trying to trip people over. As Luke says here, people love to panic, gives them something to whinge about. I'm not sure if it's people love to panic. I think it's the media loves to incite talk
Yeah.
triggers where people then start to have some, oh my God, interest rates. I said it the other week on another live stream, the effect it has on kids. My 12-year-old just started high school. They do financial literacy at high school. She's sitting at the dinner table and she was unusually quiet. And I'm like, hey, Lizzie, what's going on? Oh, Dad, did you hear the news today? I'm like, no, what news? And she goes, interest rates have gone up. And I said, yeah, interest rates have gone up. She goes, are we going to, we're going to lose the house? We're going to have to sell and move out. And I'm like, no. She goes, but it's the first time they've gone up in whatever many years, and it's going to be horrifying, and people are going to lose their homes, and blah blah blah. And she was all really worried about it because she didn't understand it. And I said, don't worry about it. Our mortgage, we calculate our repayments on 10%.
Yep.
And the government can't afford to let it go to 10%. And that's the other thing. I mean, they are talking about, that's the next step the media will do. How many more interest rates rises this year? Yeah, they're going to go along the lines of there's going to be rises all the way to Christmas. They're going to bring Christmas into it because it's emotional. You wait for it.
Jonathan, we do morning minutes every morning at 7:45.
Love it. Don't miss it. Never miss an episode.
Don't miss it. If we hop on to a topic and ride the coattails of media, it can double our viewership. So it sort of starts to self-propel or sensationalize itself at the same time. You can't help not but talk about like what we're talking about rates at the moment, because we're sort of riding off the coattails a little bit about what everyone's thinking, what everyone's looking at in the media. So it's almost this self.
Oh no, I think no. I'm going to call you out. I'm going to pull you up on that. I think it's smart marketing. And I'd say it unashamedly, to talk about things that are topical,
relevant,
real relevant and relatable in their lives, right? They're the three rules I stick by. I teach it to everyone I ever get my hands on. Be real, be relevant, and be relatable to the moment. Where I differ, and I think you do too, is that we don't stir the hype for the sake of hype.
Yep.
I like to feel that the essence of what I talk about in these topics brings level-headedness from my point of view.
Yep.
This is my opinion. I'm not trying to be sensationalist. I'm not trying to beat it up. I'm not trying to cause anyone to feel a certain way or another way. I'm just trying to give my opinion, and hopefully that helps other people in similar scenarios to me. I think the media lately has been doing different things and playing different games for different gains. You and I don't get paid. You and I don't get paid based on how many people are next to that little live icon at the top up on the left.
Yep.
They do.
Yep.
And that's a big difference.
It's huge. So in summary, what do we want to take? What are the takeouts from today?
I think in summary, people just need to be smart. They need to get their things in order. If you haven't checked your mortgage rate for a while, get it checked. Ask an expert. There's plenty of experts out there. Hit Mark up. He'll have mortgage brokers in the area that are probably the best of the best. Deal with them every day.
Well, that's right.
Go to your bank.
On that alone, be smarter. You may choose to move to interest only rather than principal and interest for a period of 2, 4, 5 years or whatever that may be. But a big thing that I'm passionate about at the moment, which is the most lively thing I'm hearing on the phone with all our salespeople, is it's a better environment and it's a better entire market to be upsizing. So if you're upsizing your mortgage, you are taking on a mortgage for less today for the same property. And I think that's really powerful because houses have taken a hit and units have taken a hit on the Northern Beaches the last 6 months, fact. But the fact is, if the same 3-bedroom, if I was going to sell my 2-bedroom unit and buy my 3-bedroom house, if I did it 6 months ago, I may have taken a mortgage on of $1 million. If I did it today, I'm taking a mortgage on of maybe $900,000 for the same property. So I think that mortgage I'm taking on for $900,000, I'm taking for 30 years. That's powerful.
Yeah, I think that is, and I think that's a smart way to think. And that's the problem. Yeah, that's the scenario that you speak. You listen to Warren Buffett, you listen to Elon Musk, you listen to all these guys and girls who sit at the top of the tree who have got way more dollar signs or dots or zeros in their bank accounts than you or me. Well, maybe me, not you. You got a lot of zeros.
You're not me. Yeah.
But they always talk about the opportunity of change. We're going through a time of change, and that's going to present opportunities for people who are brave enough to take them. So I think there's two things to think about. Think about the opportunity that times like now present. Hey, I wish I'd gone back and bought my property in the GFC. But at the time, I restricted myself. I retreated. I'm like, oh, no, I believed the media. I was in the media at the time. It's all falling down. Gold, put all your money into cash. Take all your money out of stocks. Retreat, retract. Meanwhile, Warren Buffett and Elon Musk are buying everything they can because it's cheaper, because they know that it bounces back. So that's the opportunity we have right now. Secondly, if we're talking about that $200 that people are going to be paying every month, here's some ways that you can get that $200 back. Go and change your phone plan on your mobile phone. Yeah. There is always a better phone plan. Go and change your energy and electricity and gas supplier. There's always a cheaper electricity and gas supply option.
Cut out the fat.
That's it. Don't eat as much takeaway. Cut out the fat.
Yeah, that's right.
In a month, you could save $180. Like, pretty easy. Quit Uber Eats.
Lunches in offices, and I know to take something from home. You ate the night before. I don't see that much in business anymore. No. Whereas, in business and stuff, like, I think that's a lot of money. If you're doing $10 for a lunch for 20 lunches a month, that's pretty much that difference.
That's what the big calculator says, Mark. $200.
There it is.
$10 for 20 days. That's it.
Yep. Take those inches. Take those inches you can here and there.
Hey, if you love soft drink like me, go to the supermarket, buy your block, sit them in the fridge at work. Cost you 50 cents a can, rather than going to the cafe next door and paying $2.50.
Go the Soda Stream.
Why not, mate? We should have our own show.
All
Super
right, mate.
Savers.
Thank you. I hope we
Hey, great
helped
chat.
some people out there today. And I think let's just head down, bum up to the end of the year, I reckon.
You're very calm today, Mark. Are you a bit
Me?
tired? Yeah.
Yeah, I am calm.
You're very zen today.
I'm feeling good. Yeah. So, no, it's all good.
Awesome. Great to see you, mate.
All right, legend, you take care. See you, man.
No worries.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Peace.